Welcome to Mom's Life Made Simple, the podcast for moms who want to go from chaos to calm, from overwhelmed to organized, and to find balance between family responsibilities and personal growth. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen. Let's make mom life simple. Hello and welcome to the Mom's Life Made Simple podcast. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen, and I'm joined today by Cassaundra and Britt from the Well podcast. Ladies, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
We are so excited to be here.
Oh, I am excited to be with you. You are bright rays of sunshine on this cloudy day for me and so much fun. We have podcasted together before on your podcast, and I'm thrilled to have you here talking today about water, which is our subject for March. But before we dive in, I'd love to just hand it over to you. Tell us a little bit more about each of you and about what you do.
You want to go?
Okay, so our podcast, the Well podcast, is a space where we talk about kind of all things wellness. We use those three wells as our categories for your body, your mind, and your spirit or soul. And we like to cover topics all sprinkled into those three categories, I would say. And so we have a lot of interviews. We have a lot of Cassaundra and I talking about things that we have learned either in books or courses we've taken or through our coaching or anything like that, where we go, oh, that's such a great concept, but how do you actually apply it to your life? Like, what does that look like in daily application? And so that's kind of our little magic space. And we love having the time to chat and discuss what we're learning and how we're growing. We love the conversations that we have back and forth DMing people on Instagram. And we're very big on beverages.
We love a bevvie.
Yes. And we tell them how we start our episodes.
Yeah.
You know,
so we start every episode by telling people what we're drinking. And so we say, what's the bev?
Yes.
And so, I mean, we just have bevs coming out of our ears at all times. And so that's actually been a really fun thing because people, they really want to know. They're like, what are they drinking?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, it's just like this funny, silly thing that we were doing. And we've discovered so many neat companies and products to increase your hydration.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really love it now.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing. And it totally does fall under the wellness and the health, the body wellness. It's a real thing.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing a whole month on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, definitely, as I thought about who can come on the podcast this month, who is qualified to talk about drinking more water, I thought of you ladies because of your bevies. And I think it's such a fun thing that you do. You have your more serious wellness topics, but it's fun. It just gives us a glimpse into you and what you're doing and what you're drinking. So I love it that you are the bevvie ladies who are just known for all the bevies. And, if you want to know what to drink, go check out the Well podcast. Lots of other great stuff there, but you also get the latest and greatest on ideas of what to drink. So I think it's so fun. So as we dive in, this month we are talking about drinking more water. So I'd love to hear from you who are the queens of knowing what to drink. Why does drinking more water matter?
Oh my goodness. I mean, for so many reasons, there's all the health benefits that we hear from. There's it helps your skin. It helps with brain fog. It helps if you have headaches. It helps all of your body systems work properly, more smoothly, like oil in the car,
And it actually lubricates your joints, which starts to matter the older you get.
When you get to being old gals like us.
You actually care about that a little bit more. And you get that from what you choose to drink and how much you choose to drink.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting as we age? As a kid, you don't think about those things as much and it doesn't matter. And certain things, the wisdom of doing certain things starts to hit as you get older. Oh yeah, I guess that really was a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Totally.
It takes a while. So I'd love to hear for both of you, what has been your experience with drinking water? Meaning, is this something you've always done, something you've always been good at, or did it take until you got a little older to kind of figure this one out?
Okay, so I would say for myself, I've always loved water, drinking water. And it would, even in high school, like my sister would get so sick because I liked lukewarm water. So I wanted like room temp water, lukewarm water, and I would just be chugging that at like 6 a.m. on our way to school. And she was like, I would be gagging watching you drink just this lukewarm water in the morning. It was so gross. But we just didn't really have like a lot of soda or juice or anything like that in our house. It was just kind of like, you got water. And so I feel like it's almost like when water bottles started coming out. Gosh, are we so aging ourselves? But like I always just kind of packed a water bottle with me. And then I went through like a very, very intense, and I'm just coming out of it. So just bear with me, but an intense Diet Coke phase. And I noticed that I didn't drink as much water. My skin wasn't doing as well. I was getting more headaches, all of those things. So I quickly started incorporating water back in, probably during pregnancies too. They're really big on staying hydrated when you're pregnant. I have 4 kids. And so carrying around a water bottle has just been always like your car keys,
Well, and for me, I would say it's almost the opposite. Like I grew up in a household where soda was not limited, juice was not limited. In fact, we were like the pantry that the neighborhood came to, and it was just like a free for all of rubbish, honestly. but all of the drinks were always plentiful. And I kind of grew up thinking that Diet Coke was a perfectly fine replacement for water. Like that was hydration, and that's basically what my mom was survived by. And it just was the way it was. And so it wasn't until a little later that I recognized how that was affecting me. I mean, I haven't been a soda drinker for like 15 years, for as long as you've known me, right?
Yeah, no,
like for a really long time. A long time ago, I realized the way that it impacted me and the things that weren't working for me. And honestly, also like the way that certain forms of caffeine like dehydrate me and made me feel. That being said, I'd always been attuned to a more exciting beverage. And so water wasn't going to cut it. I've always needed to doctor it in some way. Like I love plain water now, but I say that, and as I'm saying it, I'm like, but with the right ice. Like I like a little doctoring of the bev. And so even if it's just water, how can we had one gal we interviewed once that said this, and it stuck with me. Like, how can you elevate it? Like you want to get your water in. Okay. How can you elevate it? And maybe the elevating it is as simple as what you're drinking it out of. Maybe the way you elevate it is by adding a little something, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, so that you'll consume it. But I think the key is what Cassaundra said, which is now the place we're both in, which is it's like our phone. Like it's just always with us. It's just something that we've grown to make a constant companion. It's like, it's just with us.
It's the third wheel.
Yes, it just comes with us, whatever we're doing. And we have so many different ways of getting it there that it's just not a question.
Like the bevvie vessels that we have are just abundant.
It's coming with me wherever I go. I will scarcely be seen without a bev. And same with Cassaundra. It's just true. It's just the way it is. And honestly, that has been made easier and easier with all of these just fantastic different vessels that are.
We're just really glad that the rest of the world has caught up.
Yes.
And now they're making vessels, and they're making all these drinks that are really like enhancing your water.
Yes.
And they make you want to drink water more.
Yes. And we're not
healthy.
Right. They are healthy. And that's the thing. I think neither of us are really above a water bottle, like a plastic water bottle. Right. Like I'll take it if I got to take it. But something about being in California, you're a little bit like, oh, so
you're a little shamed.
Yeah. Like you just use water bottles like all the time. It's a lot of plastic.
Yeah. You got that case from Costco, huh? All right.
All the but you start being like, okay, what else might I do? How else might I carry this? That's why we say like a water vessel. And it's like, that is such a weird term.
It's such a biblical term, right? Like you take the vessel down
to vessel of water. Yes. But it is a good point. And I mean, we don't want to be shamed per se, but it's not a bad thing to think about if
No.
you've got this plastic water. Meanwhile, here where I am, my kids, we've got the Costco plastic water bottles in the back. I usually drink from I've got a Contigo. I love it. That's my thing. And so for the car, but when we get out, I've got a big van. When the van opens, we got empty water bottles falling out. It's real embarrassing, but that's what happens. And all the boys are just, at least they're drinking. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
At least they're
That's
drinking
what I
something.
say too. And I
So,
always do too. I always keep a case of just the plastic water bottles in the back of my car, clearly because
yes.
I don't care about warm water
I was gonna
either.
say, what happens? Those get hot. What toxins are getting into your
I
water,
don't care.
Cassaundra?
Drink it. You can shut your mouth and drink it. No, but I'm so worried. You know, like when your kids come out of school and they're like parched
Mhm.
because they
Yes.
forgot their water bottle or whatever, or they're
Yeah.
on their way to practice and they forgot their refillable. And so I always just have like a pack in the back too,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just for those little situations. Or I have a couple of kids that cannot seem to just hang on to the water vessel,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
always being lost, and they're expensive.
They
Yeah.
are. That's us too. And so sometimes when we're out, or they're just my youngest, we're driving and he just is so thirsty. It's not like he's a little thirsty. He's so thirsty he is going to die. And so we're really glad we have something in the car that
Yeah.
can roll out when I drop him off at school later.
Yeah,
So,
just
you
to
know,
announce your arrival.
yeah, here we are, and here's our trash. So, yes, okay. I want to circle around to what Cassandra said about lukewarm water. I think that's interesting. Is there any, like, do you still do that? Is that a preference, or like, what's with the lukewarm?
No. So forever, honestly, until probably like 10 years ago, I was just like, I would order my water at the restaurant and be like, and no ice. And they were like,
Yeah.
who does that?
You know who does it? I'll tell you who does it, because the only other person, my dad did do that. And he would say, like, he'd be sitting on his chair and he'd be like, would anybody be willing to get me a tall glass of water, no ice? And the reason is same reason you do it, because I've seen you do this.
Yeah.
It's so you can drink it quick. Like you can actually consume it quickly.
You can chug it.
Right? Because when it's
Yeah.
cold, you can't just chug. Most of us can't.
Yeah.
You get a little brain freeze.
You get a brain freeze, or
So-
some people have sensitive teeth.
Yeah. So if like you're
Yeah.
not wanting to just sip on something, you're actually like wanting to get
Yeah.
hydrated. Room temperature does make a difference.
It is true. That is what it is. It's like, I just want to consume this. And so
Yes.
I just like drink.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. I was a missionary in Taiwan, and it's very hot and humid over there. So you're just like dying, and you get to someone's door and say, "Can I have water?" And they give you hot water, like hot, to where you can't chug that either. You're sipping because it's hot water is the most miserable thing. But lukewarm, I get that. And sometimes at restaurants, I do the same. I order it with no ice because restaurants are cold, and you get cold if you're sitting there drinking this icy cold water. So I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
And then I want to follow up on what you said, Britt, about being the house, like with all the fun bevies, you've got all the drinks. How, as you're raising your kids now, seeing kind of that transition where, okay, you were used to drinking all the fun drinks, and then it was a little harder to drink water. I'm curious how that's translated into your parenting and what happens now as a mom.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I mean, I have a beverage fridge that my kids have access to.
Yeah.
However, if you go look in it, you're going to see a lot of things like the things Cassaundra and I have
Yeah.
sitting here, like the Olipop,
Kombucha, organic.
Poppy. Yeah, I mean, my husband, he still likes a soda, so he has his things there, but we have alternatives. I have a lot of soda water, like Perrier or something,
Mhm.
and regular water, and like lots of diverse options. But we also have things like, so I don't know if you've ever heard of like these Jing soda drops. They are they're just all natural herb plant made, but you can put a couple dropperfuls into like a Perrier, and it makes it this one's vanilla cream. So it's like a cream soda, but it is 1,000 times better for you than an actual cream soda. So my kids have been exposed to a lot of things like this.
Yeah.
Like they're not allowed to have soda on the weekdays, only on the weekends, but on the weeknights, if they want to pick like a different, like a drink like this, then they can. And so I think I've kind of tried to blend the two. Like I like it being fun. I like them having options, but I also want them to see the benefit of having less sugar and more health benefits. Uh, Cassaundra and I several years back switched from Gatorade to the Body Armor drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And little switches like that, where it's like, okay, I still want my kid on their way to soccer practice to be able to grab like an electrolyte drink, but is there a better option?
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay, I love that. I love that answer. I think it's so interesting how, how we grow up kind of affects what we do. And sometimes it means we do a full 180. Like, and even it can be, all my mom ever gave me to drink was water. So now we're going to have, fun drinks all the time. Or I love this, that like, okay, you can see that it was nice to have flavored drinks, but how can we elevate it? Like you said earlier.
yes.
So you've given us a couple of good alternatives. I'd love to dive in because this is like, you guys are so knowledgeable about what to drink. So I'd love to hear other ways to make water more interesting.
I definitely second the ice thing. Like, even though I drink a lot of times without ice, Britt has the nugget ice. She has like one of those nugget ice machines, which is great for drinking water. Like, you don't necessarily want it in other drinks where it'll dilute it because it melts quicker. But for water specifically, gosh, there's just like nothing better. And then I have an ice machine that has like these little squared ices, not much.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love my ice. And
ice.
so we
Sounds
both
so
have
silly.
some good ice situations, but I hear my kids all the time with the scoop and the ice, and they put it in their drink and they're off,
It's not obviously necessary or mandatory or anything, but I think it just like makes it a little bit more novel. Like there's a novelty that goes along with it. Feels a little, and where we've leaned into strongly is it feels very self-care, like you're doing something for yourself. It's like you're treating yourself a little bit, even if it's just water, you're doctoring it up a little bit. You're like, we always have like mint or something that you can kind of add to it to zhuzh it up so it feels special and not so basic. And then all of a sudden you're treating yourself. I don't know. Something about that just makes it more appealing to me.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like a squeeze of lemon or some berries in there or something like that. And suddenly you're a little bit fancy.
You're fancy. It's spa water, So we also have, both of us are big lovers of all of the like, mixers and options where you add, because these can go in your purse, right? There's electrolyte ones, there's hydration ones, there's this one,
hormone balance.
Yes, this one's like a defense, like for your immune system. Greens, like there's all these things. And so that's another way that I get my water in is I'm like, oh, this is killing two birds with one stone.
Right.
This is helping my hormones and I'm getting hydrated.
Yeah.
And like more drawn to actually drink it, like drink the whole thing.
Yeah, right? Like there's some that are even some of the mixes, I think Better Days. I really like their greens one. And it's like you're having all of your yummy greens in your water.
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting all these vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. And you're getting your water. And I also like to add, I'm not sure if these have them, but trace minerals. I have a dropper with trace minerals that I know we're so depleted with in our diet. And so I like to drop those in my water too. And I just see it as like, it's one of my vitamins,
Yeah, almost like a multivitamin. And I think when you start thinking about it like that, because if I pour myself a glass of water just in a cup, there is a chance it gets left behind. I clean those up all over my house, right? Like people poured themselves a glass of water, but they didn't finish it. However, if you make it a little bit more special, then you're a little more likely to finish it, I think. And I think like oftentimes in our bigger vessels, like our Stanley or our whatever
mason jars.
Yes,
I drink out of those all the time.
Drink holder that we're taking around. Like sometimes we'll prepare a drink, pour it into that, and then it just goes along with us. And it's almost like it's like a little something special that you're doing for yourself all throughout the day. Plus, I mean, there are the added health benefits of it keeps you from snacking when you're not really hungry.
True. Yeah.
Right. A lot of times you like you just have a little angsty or you're fiending for something. And if you drink, it kind of curbs that craving.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not drinking sugars, right? Like as long as if you're kind of trying to at least zone it into like a healthier choice, I think it can actually really benefit your overall health,
Yeah.
keeping you from over snacking, keeping you in it's supposed to really help with your mental clarity and your brain fog, like Cassandra was
Mm-hmm.
saying, and keep your metabolism going. And all of your bodily functions really require that fluid. And so that's another thing. I think like knowing all of that for some reason, it just makes you want to do it more.
Yeah, you're just like a little bit more motivated to do it. You know, it helps with your oral hygiene, all of that to
Oh,
keep like
yes.
a for lack of a better word, like a moist, not a dry mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, do we know of anything more potent than Fast Sunday breath?
Yes, right?
Okay.
That's so true. That's what I often think is like no one talks about that. But yes, water for better breath. Like if you just are keeping water, little kids, when they're little and they're drooly, they don't have bad breath. You can smell their breath all day. It's like good, sweet baby breath. And when your kids get older and they don't have that anymore, it's just they're not as hydrated and they get stinky breath. And so, yes, there is something to that. You have a fresher mouth. That's a great benefit that I don't think we've brought out yet about
Yeah,
water.
so every school teacher should just be like, everybody drink. Before
Yeah.
you come to my desk, you need to chug some water.
Yes. And for the teachers too. My kids are always like, oh, I talked to my teacher and she had coffee breath. So, goes both ways.
Yeah, it's really good to just like keep the bacteria balance in your mouth and all of that to just keep it hydrated.
Yep.
Yeah, really good. Okay, I love that. So, moms have limited time and energy. So, I'd love to dive into why they should focus some of that time and energy on drinking water. I feel like we've uncovered a lot of little bits and pieces, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that if you, like we were saying before, just to circle back to, it's the little things. Like, I can't go do a spa day today. Like, I just can't. There's too much on my list. I actually don't even, I'm going to barely squeeze in like a 20-minute workout, which I wish I was doing more than that. But like, at least I'm going to do some movement of some sort for 20 minutes. That's going to be the bare minimum. So don't add anything to my list is sometimes how we feel. Right.
Yeah.
And so this is, in my mind, yes, it actually does give you huge benefits, but it also feels like a little bit of treating yourself. Like it feels like a luxury, a little self-care to take just like 2 minutes and get yourself a drink that you can take with you all day. And then I always like, if I have more time, then, I'm going to make an afternoon matcha or I'm going to do some extra bev too. But even if I can just get the one giant Stanley, the 140 ouncer,
40-ouncer,
like locked and loaded in the morning, and it's going to go with me for the day, it just feels like self-care. So that's one of my main reasons.
Yeah, it does. It feels like, okay, that's like a little box that I can check that didn't even feel like a box to check. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like this is what I do. And when I'm driving in the car and doing pickups and all of those things, like I'm hydrated the whole time. I have this yummy little drink with me and we go, you know?
I'm looking back at morning me and I'm like, thanks for hooking me up. Like I needed this right now, like,
Yeah.
That was so nice of you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I felt like,
Yep.
It's perfect. I love it. I love how it's just such a simple thing that is something you can do for yourself and that really matters and that impacts all of these things. And I think that one of the things that I want to highlight that you've both pointed out so well is this idea that it is self-care, that drinking water, it's something so simple and it's necessary, but also it's a way to treat yourself. And so if you treat it like that, I had a flashback when you guys were talking about one of the things growing up in my house that often like I would ask, or my siblings or my parents would ask, is when we're sitting there, we would say, hey, can you get me a drink of water? And it was a way that we served each other, like that we would go and get someone a drink of water. And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe because we have the fridge that kind of gets the water for us. But back when I was a kid, I mean, you had to pour the water. And so it was something we would do for each other. And so it was that little act of love. And so thinking of it as that, like you're serving yourself, or ask someone in your family to do it for you, because that's a really nice thing too, to have someone bring you the water.
Yeah, that is really nice. And sometimes like when we're like rushing out of our house, my kids will be like, Mom, can you just go fill up my hydro flask? And I'm like, yeah, you bet, but it's like that one last step before they get out of the house. And it is something that is like, here, I care about you.
Yeah. That you can take with you. They have this tangible, like, oh, Mom cared enough to do this for me. So that's a cool tie-in. I love it. So I would love to hear, and listeners would love to hear, for the giveaway for the challenge for March. Obviously, they are going to be working on drinking more water. What is your addition to the giveaway? What will you two be giving away?
Well, I'm showing you mine with stickers. So yours will not have stickers. It will be fresh and new.
Brand fresh in the box.
It will be brand spanking new. And we have a Stanley for you, a Stanley 40 ouncer. And the reason we love these, they've got the handle, they fit in the car, in the little holder. You have cold, if you choose
cold or hot all day.
Whatever temperature you choose stays all day. And it just kind of ensures that you are going to have enough.
Yes. Yeah. The 40 ounces ensures you're going to have enough. And the other thing I love is that it has a straw. And so I always love like a straw. I don't know if it's like to not like mess up my lipstick or whatever, but I drink more when I have a straw. Not everybody would be like that, but the Stanleys have the straw and I love it.
Yeah, and especially if you are going to drink it with ice. I hate fighting through ice when I'm drinking something, like trying to block it with my lip and my teeth and just getting like hammered with ice. I don't love that. So a straw
filters it out.
So that's another reason we love this guy. So we'll be adding that, and then some of our favorite in your purse mix-ins.
Yes.
So that you can just add a little something special to a water wherever you are on the go.
Yeah, so the little packets that we showed earlier, we're going to add a few of our favorite brands,
a few of our favorite
flavors.
So fun. I love this giveaway. And Stanleys apparently are not easy to get, you guys. So you definitely want to get in on this giveaway. I was just being taught about Stanleys before our call today. So I love it. Okay, where can people find you and get more from the both of you?
So the easiest way to find us is on Instagram, and we're at the Well podcast. You can find us there. And then from there, there's a link to our podcast. There's also links to both of our pages, to our Amazon favorites. There's some more bevvie favorites on there if you wanted to check that out. So that's where you can find us.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, we will link to that. I have had so much fun talking to you about all the things to drink. I love this, ways to get in more water, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is just ways to elevate my drinking of water. And I think it's both in the how you're drinking, but also in the way that you're thinking about it and treating it as self-care. So thank you, ladies, for being here.
Yes, our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and thank you everyone for listening to Mom's Life Made Simple. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to Mom's Life Made Simple. I'm so glad that you're here, and I want you to join us for the 2023 Self-Care Challenge. Each month, we will be diving into a different area of simple self-care, learning how to create habits that allow you to make time for yourself. So to join the challenge, go to chanelnielsen.com/selfcare2023. When you join, you'll get access to free downloads that help you to create and track your new habits, as well as a link to the community so that you can discuss and win prizes that the guests are sharing on the podcast. I'm so excited for you to make self-care part of your year in 2023.